Between a Sunday to Sunday, kingdom on my body like it's Louis V. Every day I show it out to like the runway. Wanna find out why you here? It's only one way.
What is up, Godcast? I hope that this mic is working like this. But if not,
I think
might
it
keep
does.
it like that.
I think it will because it picks up from pretty far. What is going on, everybody in the nations? How y'all doing? How have y'all been? How was 4th of July for you guys? Let us know in the comments down below.
Yes,
How
sir.
you guys spent 4th of July? We had a pretty good time.
Oh, yeah. Always a fun time, bro.
Went jet skiing and then some fireworks afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It was Gabe's birthday last week. Everybody
Yes,
wish him a
sir.
happy birthday.
Yes,
Big
sir.
2-3.
Yes, sir. 23, Jordan Year, you know the vibes.
You're getting old, bro.
Yes, sir. But you're getting older.
Anyways, we got a little new setup here today.
Yes, sir. If y'all can. So we got some new little mics, you know the vibes.
Testing them out, seeing how it's going to be quality-wise and also just making
Makes
things
it easier. Yeah, for real. We don't have to set up that whole little like big mics, all those wires.
Yeah.
That big mixer, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah,
and
the
then
mixer.
Editing's all right. No,
This just makes it so much easier. But yeah, it's cool. We're gonna test it out, see how it goes. We got another Theology Tuesday coming at you guys today.
Yes, sir.
And today's topic is an interesting one. I was looking at this and trying to plan out the episode for today, and I found this one pretty interesting because we haven't really talked about anything like this yet.
Mm-hmm.
And the topic is: does the disciples' conviction that they saw the risen Jesus establish the truth of the resurrection? Because that's a pretty big question that a lot of people will say. A lot of people deny that Jesus was risen.
Yeah.
Right. That's the main thing that people use to contradict Christianity is the risen Christ. And the main evidence we have of the risen Christ is the eyewitnesses, the disciples, and the other eyewitnesses. So let's see how we can answer that question today. Does the disciples' conviction that they saw the risen Jesus establish the truth of the resurrection?
Let's look at it.
As always, we're going to be using Apologetic Study Bible
to
help us answer this.
Yes, sir.
Page 1353, article by our boy Gary R. Habermas.
I guess you could say it like that. That's not bad. He's getting better at names, everybody. Give him a round of applause.
Anyways, but yeah, let's hop straight into it, guys. Here, I'll read the first few, and then you can pick it up to finish here for us. All right, so here's what it says. Virtually all scholars studying Jesus' resurrection, whether conservative, moderate, or liberal, acknowledge that Jesus' earliest followers were convinced not only that Jesus was raised from the dead, but also that he had appeared alive to many of them on several occasions. Further, scholars also almost unanimously recognize that two former skeptics, James, the brother of Jesus, and Saul of Tarsus, Paul, became believers after they, too, were convinced that they had seen the risen Jesus. Multiple grounds support this early Christian conviction. Even today's most critical scholars agree that Paul, the author of undisputed New Testament letters, provided eyewitness testimonies to Jesus' resurrection appearance. Further, Paul included a crucial report concerning other appearances of Jesus in the exceptionally early creed in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And that's the whole chapter if you guys want to go read that, which is usually dated to the AD 30s. So they say that 1 Corinthians was like the first ever writings of Paul. So that's like the earliest writings we have of Paul, the early creeds, and we see Paul talking even here about eyewitnesses of the risen Christ. Paul carefully checked out this material with other key apostles in Jerusalem on at least two occasions, and we got one here in Galatians chapter 1 verse 18. Want to read that for us?
Yeah, so that says, then after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to visit Cephas, and remained with him 15 days.
So Cephas is Peter, if you guys don't know. And then again in Galatians chapter 2, I put here verse 9 and 10, if you want to read that for us.
That says, and when James and Cephas and John, who seemed to be pillars, perceived the grace and that was given to me, they gave the right hand of fellowship to Barnabas and me, that we should go to the Gentiles and they to the circumcised. Only they asked us to remember the poor, the very thing I was eager to do.
Yeah, so just two occasions to which Paul discussed these matters with other apostles. Paul also knew that the other apostles were preaching the same message regarding the risen Jesus. We see that we're going to read here a little bit of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, which was mentioned earlier. I'm going to read through verses 10 through 15 if you want to get that first.
But by the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace toward me was not in vain. On the contrary, I worked harder than any of them, though it was not I, but the grace of God that is with me. Whether it was, or I, or they, so we preached, and so you believed. Now, if Christ is proclaimed as risen from the dead, how can some of you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there is no resurrection from the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is in vain, and your faith is in vain. We are even found to be misinterpreting God, because we testified about God and that he raised Christ, whom he did not raise, if it is true that the dead are not raised.
Yeah, so just summing up that basically everybody's preaching the same gospel, right? That Jesus Christ was raised. And there's an argument here made on chapter 15 because there were some Jews that say that there is no resurrection, right? And some of these Jews were converting to being a Christian, right? Back then it wasn't called a Christian, but being a believer of Jesus Christ. But they still held to that view. So that's why he mentions this, like, oh, how can there not be a resurrection if Jesus Christ was raised from the dead? You know, and he talks about that a little bit there. Paul's eyewitness testimony at each of these points is crucial. Moreover, the conversion of James from skepticism, the willingness of the earliest disciples to suffer persecution and even martyrdom, the empty tomb, and the presence of other early reports of Jesus' resurrection, especially in Acts, are further indications of the apostolic conviction that Jesus had been raised. In brief, the earliest Christian message was that Jesus had appeared to his followers after his death. We also see, it's not mentioned here in this article, but there is over, and it's mentioned in the Bible, there is over 500 eyewitnesses that did see the risen Christ. It wasn't only the 12 apostles and like his followers around him. There was over 500 witnesses that did see Jesus Christ risen before he ascended to the Father. So that's something else too. I maybe should have gotten that, but I didn't. But it's in there, and that's like a fact as well. Do you want to continue here for us on the next few chapters to end it?
I'm just checking out real quick what verse it says. She ran that way.
Oh, I was gonna pick her up and show her.
It actually says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 6, says that Jesus appeared to more than 500 of his followers at once after his resurrection, and that he was seen by over 500 brethren. I'm tripping. At once, of whom the great part remain unto this present, but some have fallen asleep.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, if you guys go and read all of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, you'll see all of that there. We only read a little section of it, but yeah, that's a thing as well. You know, it's not only like, oh, there's a handful of people that saw. No, it was over 500 eyewitnesses that saw the risen Christ. Over 500 people that started preaching that, right? And is where we're at today in Christianity. And then we left off here of the many evidence. If you want to pick that up for us.
Of the many evidences for the resurrection, the most significant is that the earliest disciples were utterly convinced they had seen Jesus, the risen Jesus. The reason is straightforward. Virtually every contemporary scholar recognizes the strong data showing that Jesus died by crucifixion. So if a number of persons, both individuals and groups, actually saw him afterward, this would constitute the clearest indication that he had been risen. No other evidence provides such a direct indication of this event. This is clearly what the witnesses proclaimed. Some critics may counter that. While the early disciples truly thought Jesus had been raised, a natural hypothesis explains their beliefs. However, now the questioner has a major dilemma. Natural theories have been proposed for centuries, and each fails by a large margin to explain the recognized historical data. Incredibly, most contemporary scholars even recognize this failure. Few critics even propose alternative hypotheses. The earliest disciples clearly thought that they saw the risen Jesus, for which there are plenty of supporting details. What happens when these facts are not naturally explained? As even the majority of contemporary critical scholars admit, the resurrection of Jesus becomes the best explanation of the known data. All the evidence favors the view that the disciples actually saw the risen Jesus. There is no viable evidence to the contrary. So we are left with I don't want to say that word.
I don't know how to say it. Succinct?
Succinct conclusion?
Yeah, I don't know.
Succinct whatever. Succinct conclusion. When the many reasons supporting the conviction that Jesus actually appeared to the early Christians are combined with the failure of naturalistic alternative thesis, we are justified in concluding that Jesus was actually raised from the dead.
Just make sure that's it. Yep. But yeah, so just to kind of sum up the rest over here that you read, there are many people, right, that will try to disprove it, that will try to go against it and bring evidence and stuff like that, of these eyewitnesses, of not like, oh, they don't just go like, oh, Jesus Christ didn't raise from the dead. They try to disprove the eyewitnesses, right, that claim that they did see the apostles, the other 500 people, but none of them can come to a better conclusion than Jesus was actually risen from the dead, right? Jesus was actually raised, and they actually did see him alive and raised from the dead. None of the other conclusions, none of the other data that was ever collected disproves it. It's basically impossible, right?
Exactly.
You have to come to terms that you can't naturally explain it because it's a supernatural event. Right? There is no natural explanation for over 500 people at once seeing a man that died, right? That was supposedly dead. There is no natural explanation for numerous people dying of martyrdom because of this, because of what was preached.
And one thing I was learning, like I was thinking about right now while we're reading this, in history class, I don't know about yours, but you learned about like reliable sources of history, right? And like that just brought up to my like attention. It was like, what was it? Documents, letters, drawings, and memories created created by those who participated in or witnessed the events of the past, telling us something that even the best written article or book cannot convey.
Yeah.
So even like in schools, you'll learn that the most reliable way of history finding it out was through that first person view and their diaries and their stories that they told. And then you see 500 plus people telling that story, writing it down, putting it in this book, and people still want to contradict it.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. You know, the manuscripts, which was handwritten, the original handwritten thing, right, is what proves the whole Bible, the New Testament, the Old Testament. We talked about this in the Theology Tuesday way back when. But yeah, there is no natural, as I was saying, there's no natural explanation for people holding on to a message or a belief till death, right? Imagine holding on to a lie till you die.
For real.
Like, even if you're a pathological liar, you wouldn't. Like, if you had a gun pointed to your head and someone told you to tell the truth, you probably eventually would.
Right.
Or if you're being tortured, you probably would tell the truth.
Exactly.
But these people believed it so much. It was so true to the original eyewitnesses because it was a true event that happened. They did see the risen Jesus Christ, that they held on to it till death. Burned on a stake alive, fed to animals in a game. The apostles, however many gruesome ways they all died, right? Crucified upside down, beheaded, thrown from a building, and then getting their head smashed in, pierced. Oh, here we go. That's the newest member
Everybody say hi
of the
to
family.
Autumn.
Little
This is a
baby
chunky
Autumn.
monkey. Go.
She's loves to bite right now, but she's our newest member. She'll be on more episodes of the Godcast.
Oh, yeah, for sure. She's just chilling right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's all I really got. This is a quick one, but very informative and very important as
For
well.
real.
But yeah, guys, I hope you guys learned from something from it. I hope you guys take something from it. And as I always say, go read the Bible for yourself. Go read the whole Bible for yourself and figure it out for yourself, and see what the Bible says about it. But that's all I got for today.
She just finessed my charger. I'm sorry, guys.
Really?
Yeah, she just finessed him, bro.
Bro.
That's hilarious. But yeah, guys, what a great Theology Tuesday episode. We needed one of these, bro, because recently, they've been a lot of, really deep questions. This one was more of, informative.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like this. I hope you guys loved it. All I can say is I'm ready for a Sunday episode. I'm excited for that too, bro. We need to record this week. We kind of slacked last week, but it was 4th of July.
It was 4th of July. It was your birthday, so there's a lot going
week.
on.
Yeah.
But we do need to record a Sunday episode this week. Let us know in the comments if y'all want to see a topic for the Sunday episode for us to talk about.
For real. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys later. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Lord, I just need you here. I need you all day.
Wash away them dirty stains and make them fade away. I need you to rain on me, Lord. I need you to rain on me, Lord.